What's up, everyone? Now today you guys can see, or obviously tell, that I'm just taking a little cruise in my BMW M4, and I thought we'd sit down and basically have a quick discussion about a topic that I've been wanting to discuss for quite some time now because I think it is extremely interesting. It's this phenomenon of the used car market currently and the current status or the situation of how the values of BMWs, the F8Xs, the F80s, F82s, just cars in general, and specifically sports cars and supercars, how they have appreciated quite significantly since the start of COVID-19. I think this is honestly one of the most interesting things that I have noticed as a car enthusiast, and it's something that I don't see a ton of people talking about. You know, obviously a lot of people now are throwing their cars up for sale because they want to take advantage of this market, but why specifically is the market headed in this very interesting direction when concerning the appraised values of these used cars? So I am not an analyst, I'm not an economist, I'm not somebody that even studies this kind of stuff regularly, but I wanted to talk about it, and I have a few theories or potential reasons as to why I think this is occurring. You always hear people telling you, don't buy a BMW, don't buy a sports car. It's one of the worst things you can do. It's not an investment. You're purchasing into a depreciating asset. Yet here we are, and I can tell you guys for certain that the price that I paid for my current BMW M4, I could definitely sell in the current market state for much more than what I paid for, about 8 or 9 months ago when I picked this car up. Just to put it in perspective, I actually had a previous BMW M4, for those of you that may be new to the channel, prior to this current Alpine White over Secure Orange example that I'm sitting in today. Now, my previous car was a Silverstone over carbon cloth interior. It was a 2015 model, and I got it right on the cusp of the COVID-19 lockdown. So for many of you that aren't specifically aware of what that time frame was, it was right around March 15th, 2020 is when I picked that car up. And that was literally like a day or two before all the lockdowns, all the restrictions were basically put into place. I don't remember specifically, maybe it was a few days before, I can't remember. But I picked up that car with 37,000 miles, one owner, clean title for 35 grand. You guys are probably thinking to yourself, what the hell? And a lot of people were asking me like, bro, was that car salvaged, or like, what was it? No, clean title, good car and everything. It's just that was the state of the market. Cars were depreciating like crazy prior to the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. And not to toot my own horn, but I will say I definitely think that I got a pretty good deal on that car. Definitely, below what the market value even back then would have been considered of. And unfortunately, that car was totaled, but I was paid out by the insurance a fair amount of money. In fact, it was a good amount, over $40,000 for that car. Now, come to this current M4, I picked it up on October 8th, 2020, actually. I did post up a video talking about how much I paid specifically for this car. I break down the insurance costs, the payments, all that. But long story short, this is a 2018 M4. At the time, it had 32,000 miles, Alpine White over Secure Orange, carbon roof, very desirable spec. And the price on it for an LCI, executive pack with the upgraded headlights and all that was $50,900 from the dealership. And this was a dealership that I got this car at, not even private party. Now, I can almost for certain say that this car, not only could I sell it for at least what I paid for it, I'm pretty sure with the current state of the market, the car has about 40,000 miles on it. I could probably list it for anywhere between $53,000 to $56,000, depending on a few considerations. Obviously, I've done some mods to this car, but again, this is just over roughly 8.5 months of a time frame, which isn't that long. The market for these cars just keeps going up. I don't know how many of you are potential Porsche enthusiasts, but for example, a 991.1 GT3 RS Porsche with under 10,000 miles, YSAC package or not, you could find those all day long pre-COVID between like $155,000 to about $170K. Now, to find a low mileage .1 3RS that's clean, you're looking at around $180,000 to just over $200,000. And that's a significant amount of appreciation in just about a year. So, I could keep rambling on about these examples because, like I said, they apply to so many different aspects of, different cars. When it comes to lower end cars, or cars that are more attainable to the average person, I guess you could say, we're not talking about like supercars or very expensive cars. Just people in general have more money in their pockets now. And, this is not to, put down anybody that has actually been severely affected by the pandemic, which, my heart goes out to you if that's the case. But equally speaking, there are a lot of people now that have a lot more money than they did prior to the pandemic. Why is that? Well, for example, we can take a look at the stimulus checks, especially if you live in a family or a household that has many different people. You're talking about, $3,000 or so per person that is now in their pocket. In addition to that, you also have very significant unemployment benefits, all sorts of, advantages to the average common folk as a result of these multi-trillion-dollar stimulus packages that have been passed. And, I'm not trying to make this a political discussion by any means. Everybody has their own take on it, but there's no denying that there's a lot of people out there that definitely have more money, like I said, now than they did prior to COVID-19, and it's actually benefited them financially in many ways. And as a result of that, well, what happens if you got some money in your pocket, you like cars, maybe you need a car, you're going to go out and you're going to shop for a car. And because of that, there may be an increased demand for cars as well, and that is obviously going to create competition within the market and drive up the prices. But I don't think that is the underlying reason. I think more so specifically, the result is due to the pandemic and supply shortages of vehicles. During the height of the pandemic, many of these automakers were essentially forced to close off their factories. They were forced to basically close off production for numerous, plants. And as a result of that, there was a very large constriction in the available supply of new cars that were, coming onto dealer lots. And as a result of that, there was also supply shortages with these dealerships. So dealers are getting less cars. They're going to be less likely to negotiate on cars. They're going to be firm on price. And especially if it's a desirable car, a sports car, or something like that, there's likely going to be a significant markup on top of that. Forget about negotiating. You're going to have to also pay a dealer markup or a market value adjusted price that basically, includes that premium as a result of that specific vehicle that one may be looking to purchase. So currently as well, there's also a pretty substantial semiconductor shortage that's going on, not just within the car industry, but within many other sectors of industry. For example, aerospace, medical, tech. And that in itself is having many repercussions on the automotive industry. Again, there are just massive supply shortages right now. And as a result of that, there is a diminishing supply of both used and new cars, which ultimately is going to drive the price up. Now, those are just my thoughts. I could be totally wrong. These could be the ramblings of a madman. But I think that in part, or is a big part at least, I should say, as to why we're seeing such heavy market inflation. And then if we factor in the final reason, I think the value of the US dollar, these fiat currencies, are going down day by day. When you look at the amount of money that is being printed by the Fed as a result of stimulus packages, as a result of all the trillions of dollars that are being pumped into the economy, in some form or fashion, the end consumer is eventually going to pick up that tab, and we're going to see that, the value of our dollar is diminishing. And as a result of that, it's going to take more dollars to basically buy an equivalent purchase of something that you could have picked up for much less a year ago. And I truly believe that is also a reason as to why we are seeing, again, the car market just become really expensive overall. So if you're somebody that picked up a car, within that sweet or golden spot period, prior to the pandemic, or maybe even during these early stages of the pandemic, good job to you, because you kind of lucked out in the sense that your car is probably worth more than it was now, or even if you've added a ton of miles to it or whatever since then, it's nowhere near as depreciated as what it would have been prior to this whole situation. Anyway, I'm rambling on too much, but I just wanted to hear what your thoughts are on this specific situation, guys. Definitely leave your comments below. I'm curious, have you sold your car? When did you pick up your car? Obviously, many of my viewers probably own M3s, M4s, 335s, M240s, M235s, lots of sporty BMWs. So again, I'm very, very curious to see, please share your experiences in the comment section down below. and I will try to engage with as many of you as I possibly can. Anyway, guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Jesus, this thing pulls, man. I will catch you all in the next one. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Take it easy. Have a great day.